Delta Television, the People's Pride. Now, it's time for us to look at something that really affects you and I, especially if you don't have a vehicle, if you are not mobile. The fact that all of us actually walk, it's about pedestrians. They are arguably the most vulnerable road users, yet we pay little attention to them in this part of the world. In fact, I rarely see areas where there are signs that are dedicated to pedestrians. There are machineries in place for pedestrians. But don't worry. With us this morning is one from the Federal Road Safety Corps, DRC, UC Natika. We shall talk about these pedestrians, the most vulnerable road users. Good morning. Good to have you on Morning Ride.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to be here also.
All right, the pleasure is mine. The first question will come from my introduction. It's about why it seems, because I might not be so sure, that Nigeria prioritizes more on car owners or car users than pedestrians.
Well, I don't really think so.
Okay, that's why I said seems.
Yeah, I don't really think so. I just feel that pedestrians do not really own up to take responsibility for their safety as much as, and also they are more vulnerable as against other motorists, you know. And just like you already said that they are more vulnerable. Actually, pedestrians are just every road users that travel by foot, whether you are walking, whether you are standing, whether you are buying things alongside the road, you know. But that's what pedestrians are, you know. So they are the largest group of road users, you know, and as such, they are exposed to more risk. And those risks are like that because pedestrians do not have any protective cover. Just as those that are in a vehicle, they have the casing of the vehicle covering them. So before a crash will get to them, it has to pass through the vehicle. And pedestrians also are exposed to high-speed impacts. So for instance, a vehicle moving at 60 kilometers per hour has more impact on a pedestrian than it would on a vehicle. Do you understand? It has more impact on a vehicle. A pedestrian might not even survive it. Such impact at 60 kilometers or 50 kilometers per hour, yes, but a vehicle could just have some kind of bash or just small issues on the vehicle and all of that. So that's why it seems like pedestrians are more vulnerable, you know, than other road users.
The only thing I learned, you know, as the pedestrian is look left, look right, and look left again. That's the only safety lesson that I received so far, you know, growing up. I think that safety lessons that pedestrians should have while they embark on their daily activities, which includes walking around the road, stopping, buying, or selling around the road.
There are a lot of safety messages and information for pedestrians beyond look left, look right.
Yeah.
Even me,
and look left again.
I used to add look up and look down because you might not really know. So pedestrians, for me, I advise pedestrians to be defensive.
Defensive?
Yes. Just as we always advise motorists to practice defensive driving, we also advise pedestrians to also practice defensive walking, defensive starting, defensive whatever it is that you are doing as a pedestrian. You know, you have to be defensive. And how are you defensive? Defensive driving or defensive walking means that you acknowledge the fact that you are a risk to other road users. And those other road users in turn are a risk to you. So when you have that in mind, you are careful as to the way you coordinate yourself on the road, whether as a motorist or as a pedestrian, and more so as a pedestrian because that is the topic for today. So as a pedestrian, you ought to know that you have to avoid distractions when you are walking on the road. Avoid use of phone. You know, if you must use your phone, then stand where it is safe and do whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to send messages or answer calls and all of that. You know, you must avoid any form of distraction, and you must always be on alert when you're on the road. Don't be carried away. Some people are walking on the road and they are thinking about issues bordering on maybe household, work, and all of that. You see people when they want to cross, they're not on alert. They don't take the safety precautions like you mentioned. Look left, look right. Sometimes they will even look, but they won't see. Yes, because their mind is not there.
Yes.
You get, so you must be on alert. And we also advise pedestrians to always walk against traffic. If you are walking, walk against traffic. Don't back traffic, so that you're able to see oncoming vehicles. However, you also find out that some motorists are also a risk to them, because you see some motorists also engage in route violations, driving against traffic. So when they are even facing the traffic, you also find out that there's a risk that might be coming from behind. And then we also advise pedestrians to always make use of the walkways and pedestrian bridges where necessary. If there are walkways available, ensure that you are using them. They are meant for you, they are meant for your safety. And then also make use of crosswalks or zebra crossings, and also obey traffic lights. So when the traffic light passes the pedestrians, ensure that you are using the zebra crossing to cross the road, and then motorists should also obey them.
Because when you talk about looking at traffic lights, I will tell you I'm not sure about that one at all. In this part of the world where you see the red and some people see green, so people are color blinded on the road, so they just embark on more speed. As if you tell them accelerate when they see the red, they move very fast. So I think, like you said, defensive would do it.
Yes.
Yeah, one would mind their own business. One might be careful. What about those who are engaging in business activities on the road? I would call them pedestrians of sorts.
Of course they are.
We see them. I think they even do more athletics than the actual casual pedestrians, the one that just walk around, because they are involved in chasing of vehicles. They are involved in exchanging monies in vehicles. They are indulged in throwing sausages, or what they call that stuff again, bakery, planting chips into your vehicle. They do all sorts of things. How safe is that? Is there a law that has anything about selling on the road of that nature? And how does FRSC manage people in that field?
Well, when you talk about selling, and just like you rightfully said, yes, they are also pedestrians, and they are also very vulnerable.
Is it legal?
And of course, you know that no, it's not.
Okay.
It's not legal. However, we don't really have that in our purview as to regulating those people selling.
Who has it in their purview? Police?
Do you understand? I think most of the time it is the state.
You know, I'm asking this question because when I travel a lot, and the people who seem to be close to pedestrians are men wearing uniforms. I don't want to mention whether it's FRSC or police, but I see them around those areas. That's when, in short, they have conversations with them. It's like, no.
I can't categorically say that, but the truth is we make efforts to ensure the road is safe. For instance, here in Delta State, now we are working in partnership with DESMA, VIO, and the Ministry of Transport, as well as the police. For instance, in no time we will start an enforcement exercise, especially because this pedestrian issue has come up of late, and we really need to do something about that. Especially for those who occupy the pedestrian walkways, and they sell, and then they push the pedestrians to the road, which is not also good. So that is illegal. Do you understand? And so therefore, we have tried as much as possible to put for these agencies to come together and deal with the situation. Do you understand? So we are working towards having an enforcement exercise to ensure that these people are pushed, those who are selling are pushed into the market, so that they don't spill to the road and occupy the pedestrian walkway, even if they want to come to the road, but let them not exceed, let them not go towards the pedestrian walkways, let them be limited to that extent. So that's one of the exercises that we are about to begin. But before then, we're already raising awareness. For instance, I'm here today.
Yes.
We also go on radio. We also go to markets where we also preach the gospel of road safety. That's one of the things that we do. We go to parks. We go to where we sensitize people on the right things to do on the road.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to drag on the sellers, the hawkers, on the roadside hawkers, and how they chase vehicles. You've said it's not legal, so actions have been taken, plans are on the way. But about beggars as well, is it also legal to have beggars on the road? Because they can be pedestrians, and we see them everywhere.
Of course, it's just like, it's just like you walking on the road. Pedestrians are, you said the disabled.
Yes, roadside beggars.
Yes.
Whether disabled or not disabled, we see them
beggars,
too.
yes. They are road users, and they have the right to walk on the road. Do you understand? They have the right to make use of the road. However, that's why we always say prioritize your own safety. Do you understand? I can't stop you from moving. You have the right to move. Do you understand? However, we don't want you to cause accidents or crashes for other road users. So for them, we will always tell them to prioritize their own safety. And of course, you know that going to towards that aspect is a very sensitive area because of the situation of things surrounding them.
Religion.
So of course there are agencies that are saddled with the responsibility of carrying these people to maybe a shelter and all of that and care for them. Do you understand? So that is their own responsibility. However, for us, our own is when you are there, make sure that you are take responsibility for your own safety, while you don't also deal against other people's safety on the road.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go back to the safety of pedestrians, and because that's the conversation today.
Of course.
We also talked about pedestrian pedestrian bridges here and there, and I think that that's one of the most underused things we find, the safety facilities we find around us. People don't really use them. Are there efforts from your agency to ensure that this is done? Because most times you see either task force from the state trying to enforce such usage of pedestrian cross and the rest.
Of course, that's why I told you that most times this road safety issue is a collaboration. It's not just about FRSC, it's about everybody coming on board, you know. And of course, most people find it lazy and a huge task to make use of the pedestrian bridges, and therefore they take the risk of crossing the very busy highways, you know. And that's one of the things that we do. We try as much as possible to campaign against it, to sensitize people the need to use such facilities such as the crosswalks and the pedestrian bridges. And then we also try as much as possible to carry along the state enforcement agencies, you know. And you find out that in most climes, in most societies in Nigeria, you find out that the states are the ones enforcing, arresting people who are using the, so of course the collaboration is there, you understand, but like I said, people should learn to take responsibility for their safety, because no matter how you want to preach it, no matter how you want to enforce it, you still see people who are deaf to these things and they still want to do what they want to do. But the laws are also there, you know, to also guide them, especially from the state, and for this particular issue, especially from the state enforcement agencies.
Okay, we'll soon be done here.